Hey guys, Gabe Cabrera, Marketing Director and Sales Director for Rosco Manufacturing. Wanted to cover the Purebred series handguards in this video, and we're gonna go over installation, proper tools needed, and the hardware that comes with the Purebred handguards. As you've seen on our website, we have handguards that range from 7-inch all the way out to 15-inch, but the way that they go on and some of the same things to look out for are covered across all of the handguards offered in our website. So stay tuned. Hey guys, today we're going to go over the proper installation, tools needed, and things to be on the lookout for on the Purebred series of handguards. Our handguards range in size from 7-inch all the way to 15-inch, but you're going to see that all of the hardware supplied for the handguards are the same, as are the tools needed for proper installation. Again, we're going to go over a lot of the frequently asked questions that have come in through DMs, emails, and phone calls, and by the end of this video you should be able to properly install your brand new Rosco Manufacturing Purebred series handguard. Stay tuned. First off, let's cover the hardware and items that come with your brand new Purebred series handguard from Rosco Manufacturing. First, your handguard. Second, the barrel nut. This is a very important thing to consider and keep an eye on right here, because we get a lot of emails from folks who buy a barrel and expect a barrel nut to come with the barrel. That's not how any of this works. Barrel nuts only come with a specific handguard. Also, not every barrel nut is built the same. There are some manufacturers that have their own proprietary design and need a proprietary tool for installation. That is not the case with our barrel nut design. You can use any spanner type wrench, including but not limited to a castle nut wrench, a combination AR-15 tool wrench, where the spanner wrench is provided on here as well, or the tool designed by American Defense for installation of this specific barrel nut. However, even though a tool has been made specifically for this barrel nut, as I stated before, it doesn't mean that you need only this tool for proper installation. My personal favorite are these combination wrenches that you could find from different manufacturers. This one happens to be from Tapco. I have also been informed that the combination AR tool from Forward Control Designs works with our barrel nut design as well. So again, personally I have not used it. Our engineers have tested it out. They have informed me that it works. So if you wanted to get that tool from them, that works as well. The other pieces of hardware that you'll find with your brand new Purebred handguard are 2 tensioning screws that take a T30 Torx tool. The screw that actually holds the handguard to the barrel nut itself, basically going through the handguard and holding it right here. This is a very important one, guys. I've gotten some emails and DMs from folks that are very confused, but at the same time they're very mad. I can understand where people get frustrated, but if you have not installed this screw in through the handguard to hold it to the barrel nut itself, please try not to get upset when you fire your firearm for the first time and the handguard shifts forward, because you bypass the information provided for you on the instructional sheet that comes with the handguard, and it has led you to that situation. You also have this 4th screw right here. This one is a set screw that goes into the handguard. The main purpose of this set screw is to go right here and sit flush against this area. The only reason this screw exists is to split this opening right here when you need to disassemble your handguard for whatever reason. You may need to commit to doing maintenance on your carbine, changing out the gas tube, or trying to get under the handguard so you can clean it, what have you. Once you have properly disassembled and taken out the 2 T30 tensioning screws and the screw that holds the handguard to the barrel nut, you can then run this screw all the way in till it starts splitting the opening on the bottom. Guys, it doesn't take a lot of tension to split it open so you can slip it off the barrel nut. Please keep that in mind. Because if you break the handguard because you applied too much pressure to that one little tensioning set screw, it will not be covered under our warranty. The final piece that I need to bring your attention to on our handguards is this little pin that you might notice. That is exactly what this little pin is for. It goes into our handguard on this end, and if you happen to have one of our purebred upper receivers, it will meet up with it right here. This is an anti-rotational centering pin, and it works perfectly and specifically for our upper receivers, as you can see right there. Now, we've had questions asking if I have X brand upper receiver, can I have someone machine that upper receiver to where this pin will work in conjunction with that upper receiver? You may be able to if you have the proper gunsmith that knows what they are doing and they have access to the right type of machinery, like a mill. However, if you damage your upper receiver in the process, we will not be held liable for that, because we designed that specifically for our upper receiver, and that is the only reason why that pin works. Alright guys, these are the recommended tools needed for the proper installation of your brand new Purebred series handguard. Let's start here at the bottom. First, a non-graphite moly grease, anti-seize barrel nut grease if possible. The one that we recommend is Aeroshell 33, or any grease that works in an anti-seize capacity when applied correctly to the threads of the upper receiver. Next, a non-permanent thread locker. You can use Vibrotite VC3 or Loctite 242. Next, an 1/8 inch Allen wrench, a T30 Torx wrench. You can use a castle nut wrench. You can use the spanner portion of a combination AR tool, or you can use the proprietary barrel nut tool from American Defense. Also, you will need a torque wrench. You can use this one from Wheeler. If you've seen our videos in the past, I use this one quite a bit, mainly for demonstration purposes so you can see the correct torque being applied. But you can use a Craftsman digital torque wrench or any type of digital torque wrench that gives you proper readings and locks perfectly into the desired foot-pound rating that you need to apply this barrel nut. Finally, we're going to talk about the upper receiver block that's needed and or recommended for the proper installation of your new handguard. You can go with a Geisley reaction rod, a Magpul Bev block, or any type of upper receiver vise block. I personally recommend the Precision Reflex Incorporated upper receiver block like this one right here. Solid chunk of aluminum, uses 2 pins that go through the same portion that attaches to your lower receiver group, and you don't run the chance of messing up the locator pin on your barrel's extension. Now the instructions for mounting of your Rosco Manufacturing handguard. Number 1, ensure that your firearm is unloaded. To do this, eject any magazine that is currently within the lower receiver of your carbine. Lock back the bolt and make sure that there is nothing in the chamber or in the raceway. Dig your pinky into the chamber of your Rosco barrel to make sure that there is nothing hidden from the naked eye. Also check the magazine well and make sure that there was nothing stuck in there. Once you've accomplished a perfect visual and manual check that your firearm is clear, safe, and empty, go ahead and take your upper receiver group off of your lower by pulling the 2 pins like this. If you are running a Law Tactical side folder, like I am on this specific carbine, not only will you have to take the bolt and carry group out and the charging handle, but you'll have to take out the plug as well. Put these pieces off to the side so you don't lose them. You may need them again when you put your new handguard on. Another thing to consider, if you're running multiple accessories on the top of your carbine, like I am on this one, make sure to properly disconnect any wires that are hooked into your electronics and properly disassemble any mounts that are holding your electronics, lights, sights, or sling mounts to your handguard before replacing it with your brand new Rosco Purebred handguard. Put these off to the side. Make sure that all pieces are accounted for. That way you can install them on your new handguard. After you've removed your original handguard from your upper receiver, go ahead and grab it, throw it into your upper receiver vise block, and secure it via the supplied pins that come with your upper receiver block. Once the upper receiver group is properly secured to the vise block, grab your nylon or acid brush and clean the threads on the upper receiver group. This would be a good opportunity to go inside of the upper receiver with solvent as well and clear out any excess carbon that you currently have in there. Any clogs that you might have, any excess buildup of anything. This is one of the few times that you're going to have your upper receiver group in this type of naked configuration, so you might as well clean as much as you can and do preventative maintenance while you're here. After you have properly cleaned the threads on your upper receiver's extension and the inside and done any preventative maintenance that you needed to do in that moment, go ahead and grab your anti-seize grease, grab a little bit, and start applying it to the threads. Be cognizant of the fact that the excess grease will be ran down past the threads the moment that the barrel nut starts getting screwed on all the way to the rear of the upper receiver. You also do not need to apply too much. The goal here is just to allow the barrel nut to have an anti-seize compound on the threads that'll allow it to be torqued down completely. Dry anodized aluminum will prevent other aluminum pieces from being ran down all the way. They will also give you a false torque if you don't have some sort of anti-seize compound like I've applied on these threads right now. A little bit of forethought goes a long way, and that's another reason why we use certain greases and anti-seize lubricants like these. A little bit on the inside works as well. Some of our barrels are extremely tight when going into an upper receiver, so you may want to put a little bit of that same compound on the barrel extension as you are seating it into its final resting position. You can see right here that it's getting tight. That's actually what you want out of your upper receiver, especially your Rosco Purebred upper receiver. Final seated position for the barrel inside of the upper receiver. A little bit more grease, and at this point you could start running your barrel nut over the barrel and slowly running it over the threads manually. Notice how it is free flowing right now and there's nothing catching on it. That means that I did not cross thread this barrel nut when screwing it over this upper receiver's extension. Notice how the anti-seize lubricant ran over the threads as promised earlier. I do this a couple times by hand to make sure that there were no issues with the threading on the upper receiver or the barrel nut. Now I have full confidence that this will work because both these products were designed to work together in tandem. However, a lot of you folks have different upper receivers from different manufacturers that we cannot attest to the quality or the QC of those manufacturers. So again, buyer beware, and a little bit of testing and forethought goes a long way. Third time over the threads, hand lock, making sure the barrel's not wiggling out. I slip it over the barrel. I engage the spanner lugs onto the barrel nut, and always remember, righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. I'm going to tighten it down firmly, and I'm going to break it loose again. I'm going to tighten it down firmly and break it loose again. I'm going to do this 3 times again. And the reason why is I want any anodizing that's going to flake off over those threads to happen now. Because I'm going to check the threads one more time and see if anything's flaked off. And you can see there's a little bit of a high shine right there on those threads. That is natural. That is going to happen. Metal is making contact with metal, and you are breaking those threads in with this barrel nut. I'd rather accomplish this now and wipe off any excess aluminum or anodizing that flakes off in the process. That way When I go and apply my final torque, I know for a fact it's not a false torque value, and this barrel nut has fallen into its final resting place. I don't have to worry about this barrel nut shifting under fire or anything else happening that I didn't account for when I installed this upper handguard. So at this point, we are installing the barrel nut. We're seating it down with the tool by hand before applying the torque. And then we're going to torque to 50 to 65 foot-pounds. Industry standards recommend loosening and retorquing 3 times for proper thread engagement, and that's exactly what you saw here earlier. So let's grab our barrel nut installation tool, run it down by hand a little bit. Now we grab our torque wrench. We install it in the drive portion of the handle, and now we're going to tighten this down to 50 to 65 foot-pounds. I do not recommend going the full 65 pounds at the beginning if you don't need to, because if you ever need to disassemble this upper receiver for any reason, whether you're swapping out a barrel or you insert your reason here, you've already applied the maximum amount of torque to that barrel nut, and you will start stretching out the threads of that barrel nut. So let's go to 60. You'll notice that the barrel nut still keeps moving until we reach 60. Barrel nut has stopped moving at 60. And at this point, we can install our gas block and gas tube. You want to do that before inserting the handguard into its final resting position over the barrel. And the reason why, it's going to be a pain in the butt to do it afterwards. So just like you see here, the gas block and gas tube has been installed on the bare barrel, and it was torqued down to where it needed to, and the muzzle device was even installed before fitting the handguard into its final resting place. Before running the handguard over your barrel and the barrel nut, make sure to put on the anti-rotation locator pin into the handguard if you have a Rosco upper receiver. Now grab your mounting screws and take this opportunity to put either Vibratight VC3 or the other specified thread locker onto the mounting screws. Only apply a minimal amount of VC3 or thread locker to the base of the screws that are about to be screwed into the handguard. Now grab your anti-rotation screw, your 1/8 inch Allen key, and secure it to the handguard, and make sure that your handguard is perfectly centered onto the upper receiver. You don't want it pulled to one way versus the other. This is another reason why the Purebred upper receiver and Purebred handguard combo is the best way to go. You can see right here that the locator pin has been pressed inside of the upper receiver, and it's perfectly lined up the upper with the rail. Move it back and forth once the anti-rotation screw has been fastened down, and make sure that the handguard cannot go past the indentation that's been machined into the barrel nut. This will ensure that your handguard's not going to move forward while you're shooting your firearm. Next, grab your T30 handguard tightening screws and run them on the left side of the handguard. You can tell that this is the proper side to install these through because you have a countersunk hole on this end. And make sure that you treated the threads with Vibratight VC3 or the other applicable thread lockers. Make sure to go back and check alignment between the handguard and the upper as you tighten down. After you have secured the T30 clamping screws by hand, grab a smaller torque tool and dial it in for 55 inch-pounds of torque. You will then torque your clamping screws to 55. You have a range of 55 to 60 inch-pounds, but the same lesson can be learned here as mentioned when installing and torquing down the barrel nut. You never want to go to the extreme point of any torque rating because you will be stretching out the threads of those screws. So we start off on the low end, 55, check torque, and it's locked in at that point. At this point, your Rosco Purebred handguard has been correctly installed, torqued, and aligned with the upper receiver. The only thing left is the jack screw, which can go here, or you do not need to install this into the handguard. Remember, this screw is only here for the purposes of separating the two pieces here at the bottom if you ever have to disassemble your handguard to get to the gas tube or to perform maintenance on your upper receiver. If you want to install the jack screw into your Purebred handguard, just lightly tighten it into the handguard and leave it there. At this point, your Rosco Manufacturing Purebred handguard has been correctly installed, torqued, and aligned to your upper receiver. You can go ahead and reinstall your bolt and carrier group and charging handle into the upper receiver. You can also go ahead and start adding your preferred accessories to your Purebred handguard and timing them in the locations that work best for your specific needs. Once that is accomplished, you can go ahead and install your completed upper receiver group to your lower receiver and you are good to go. Alright guys, thanks for tuning in. Again, we appreciate the support, the love, and obviously the business. What we appreciate even more is you allowing us the opportunity to earn your business. Any questions that you have following up past this video, if there's still something you don't understand, quite get, or you need help, always make sure to reach out to us, info or sales at roscomanufacturing.com, or if you follow us on social media, find us on Instagram or on Facebook and DM us or private message us with your questions. Thank you again, and from the entire Rosco family, Barrel Gang.